Hello and Happy New Year to everyone. We have a good collection of individuals on our Manufacturing Technology Working Group. It's hard to believe that it's a new year. To me, it doesn't feel necessarily like it. And we're 3 days in and it's been a pretty adventurous week here in Connecticut. So hopefully everyone is, remaining safe from pandemic, from weather, from everything that 2020 is throwing at us. So today we are 4 months in to our efforts here, starting a new year, and very excited to just jump back in here. So we have our agenda for today. Senator Hartley, I believe, may not necessarily be on the line. She may be available to pop in, but we are not expecting her. As we do after our welcome, we'll open it up to any announcements or roundtable that folks want to be able to share. That's prevalent to the manufacturing ecosystem here. We'll review the schedule for i4.0 providers. This will take us into the first quarter. So we've already had a really engaging and informative sessions with our previous meetings of spotlighting our i4.0 service providers. So thank you to everyone that has presented. We'll have Dr. Toro present on behalf of Central Connecticut State University this afternoon. So looking forward to that. And then Jeff and I and the team will take some time just to review what we've accomplished and where we're going. As we are entering into the new year, we will maintain a bi-weekly cadence. So our next meeting will be January 19th. We'll all be together in the main room here. We're not going to be breaking out into any sessions, and there's a possibility that we may even break early enough. Although we have 22 folks on the line, so thank you so much for tuning in. So I think I'll leave it on this slide just to then go over some announcements or roundtable. I'll open up the floor to see if anyone has any thoughts. I apologize, I'm using two screens here, so you might see my eyes flutter back and forth, but I'll take a breath and a pause and see if Jeff or my colleagues want to, or anyone else wants to, raise their hands and share some remarks. Okay, hearing none, then let's have everyone review our provider schedule. So Colin, looking at you for our next meeting, hopefully you can provide some insights on the Manufacturing Innovation Fund. We've checked in with Sarah, the Dean from Yale University, and she's back from leave and starting the new year fresh. So she has committed to February 2nd. So thank you, Madam, for that.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Jeff and I will connect with you offline just to fill you in since you've been out, being a new mom. So congratulations to you.
Thanks so much.
February 16th, we're going to have Chris on behalf of the CMC, the Connecticut Manufacturing Collaborative, and then rounding out with the Central Connecticut Chambers of Commerce. So that will cover all of our formal service providers. We'll still have a good stretch of time in this year if we want to be able to spotlight or resurface as we really get further into this work. So please let Jeff know if you have any challenges with meeting these dates for spotlights, but otherwise we look forward to having all of you present. Okay. So I think before I then dip in to our look back and look ahead, I'll see if Dr. Toro will be able to share her screen and provide a spotlight on Central.
I understand that I cannot share my screen until the other presenter is not sharing the screen anymore.
All right, let's give that a go.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Will it be possible then for me to email it to you and for you to run
Sure.
this? Okay, tell me your oh my goodness, your email, please.
Okay, I've dropped it into the chat, and I could even, Jeff, if you want to take point, there might be
If you
emails
send
from.
me an email, I can attach the presentation to that
Okay.
email.
All right, I'll do that right now. I'll pull up the slides and just have Jeff speak to them then. So thanks in advance. So that way we don't have any dead air here, but certainly also happy to open up the floor if anyone that has joined us wants to express something. So stand by.
And while we're waiting for those slides, just want to reach out to all of you if there are other service providers that you'd like to see further on the list. We are going to begin the ecosystem tracking, developing profiles, and as part of that, we can identify potential service providers to do future meetings. But for the manufacturers on there, if there are state or federally funded Industry 4.0 providers that you think would be useful for your partners to hear from, please let me know and I can reach out to them. And for those who are service providers, if there are different parts of your entities that you would like to highlight, let us know. You know, for example, I know UConn, we heard from Pamir, but there are other parts of that might be interesting to spotlight. And from the Connecticut CICC, potentially we could highlight other providers besides Yale and the University of Hartford. So I will look to extend the calendar out past March, but I am open to suggestions.
Hi, Jeff. It's Nicole. Happy New Year, everyone. Hi.
Happy New Year.
One of the things we may want to consider as the RSPs continue to take hold is, you know, by the end of March, I would think we'd have a good agenda that they should be presenting. The regional sector partnerships.
No, that's actually, and it took me a second to grab that, but yes, no, that's actually a good point. So we can look to include them because I know some of them have are interested in overlapping ideas.
Great.
So,
I'll coordinate
you.
with you and Jackie separately if
All
I
right.
can.
Yes. Thank you. No, that's a super idea.
I sent the presentation.
Still waiting to hit my inbox. Let me, oh, I got it. All right. All right. Give me just one moment. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. First of all, good morning and thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you what Central is doing in the area of innovation and Industry 4.0. Can I have the next one, please? I just wanted to start by describing the approach we use at Central to educate the professionals in the STEM areas. We use a pedagogical approach called applied learning, in which we expose our students to real world problems before they complete their degrees with us. We do that in collaboration with industry partners. And as part of that process, also we involve students in the creation of new knowledge that will be useful to solve problems for industry. We have faculty who are practitioners in most areas, and faculty who are involved with industry in the solution of those real world problems. We have about 90,000 graduates from Central in Connecticut, and they stay here and they are part of the economic development efforts of the state. In addition to that, I think it's important to mention that overall 90% of our graduates stay in Connecticut in the long run, but within the first 5 years of completing a degree with Central, 96% of our graduates stay around. About over 13,000 of the degrees we have awarded within the last 5 years. Can I have the next slide, please? Are degrees in the STEM areas. And every year, about 25% of the degrees we confer are in the STEM related areas. That gives you an estimate or an idea of how important Central is in providing the workforce that is needed by industry in Connecticut. We are involved in an interdisciplinary effort to support industry, not only in manufacturing and aerospace, but also in healthcare, criminal justice, construction and architecture, education, and the insurance industry. You should know that Central was the first publicly funded institution in Connecticut. We were created in 1849 as a teacher college, and we have evolved since then to be a regional comprehensive university with focus and emphasis in the STEM areas. Our newest effort is in the area of virtual, augmented, and mixed reality. This is a lab and a facility that will allow industry partners to collaborate with faculty and students in innovation and in creation of new technology and the solution of problems that they are facing. And it's a way to simulate the solutions before you make any physical attempt at solving the problems. We should have this new lab in place by the end of January, beginning of February, and we think that this lab and this technology will empower the small and medium companies to start the integration of Industry 4.0 without having to invest in any technology before the company is completely sure that that's the way they want to go. We are being advised in the implementation of this lab by the creator of the technology, who is a scientist and innovator from the University of Central Florida. As I said, we will be opening this facility by the beginning of February, the latest. And we are hopeful to be able to support the small and medium industries in this area. The type of business support we provide, beside incumbent worker training and education, we also provide support in the area of cybersecurity, product life management, predictive analytic, and Internet of Things, and introduction to Industry 4.0. Again, we have short and continuing education, short courses and continuing education in this areas. But in addition to that, we provide services in these areas. The way for industry and companies to know about us and to work with us is through our Office of Continuing Education or our School of Engineering, Science, and Technology, contacting directly the Dean's office or my office. You will be able to have access to the expertise and the students and internship opportunities that we have for industry. We think that our low tuition, our location make Central a unique partner for industry in the area of Industry 4.0. Again, we are in the process of seeking grants to allow industry to use the apply lab that I just shared with you, but also to seek and to have access to professional expertise and technical support provided by our faculty and staff, as well as pay internship for students. If we are able to secure this grant funding, the funding will allow us to provide internship to students in small, medium companies. In addition to that, we will have some money to start some sponsored research that will support industry and Industry 4.0. And finally, we are as part of that grant opportunities, we will have faculty fellowship that will allow us to have some of our faculty providing direct support to businesses and be immersed in companies for 3 or 4 months. And in that way, they will lend the expertise, but in addition to that, to industry, and they will work with industry in the solution of their challenges and problems. We definitely are, as we speak, embedding our students within companies through internship and externship, as I mentioned. And we continue to collaborate with industry partners in the solution of some of their problems. As we speak, we have a faculty member working with one of the medium companies in the area in the development of new technology that will allow that company to use robots in the assembly line. The next project that we are in the process of implementing is what we call an industry call center. But what this means is that industry will contract with us to be able to have faculty and students working at Central in a specific projects that industry need work in and support in. And then the students will be employed by Central, but will be working for a company in the solution of some of their problems. That will allow students to have faculty as coaches or to collaborate directly with faculty at the same time they are providing a service to industry. That will have benefits not only to industry, but to the students as well, because once they graduate, they will have that experience under their belt. But it will help industry, because industry will not have to have direct supervising responsibilities for those students, but will have the work done by the students and the faculty. Again, we offer not only undergraduate degrees, but we offer graduate degrees in the STEM disciplines, and we offer stackable credentials and continuing education in these areas. I was asked to keep my remarks to 5-6 minutes, and I think I have met that goal. Any questions you may have? And before I finish, my apologies, I have to leave this meeting and go back to another meeting related to COVID and our operations. Any questions you may have?
Scanning for any hands raised. That was a very comprehensive presentation, so thank you so much. I've learned a lot about Central in that, and Marty is giving you kudos in the chat as well. So we'll open the floor to see if there's any dialogue, engagement questions. The presentation will be uploaded to our working group website, so I will drop that link. Mike had asked if you could share the presentation, so that will be forthcoming. Any other thoughts, questions? Eric, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly throw out there, first of all, that was a great, very exciting presentation about everything going on at Central. Not that we have to cover it today, but I'm always interested in the element of sort of the bridge of how you know, the small and mid-sized manufacturers learn about this, get access to it. Obviously, there's grants involved, so you know, it's just going to be critical that these terrific resources find their way into the knowledge base of the small and mid-sized manufacturers. But boy, congratulations! Looks like a really great operation you put together there, Dr. Torres.
Thank you, and I think that it's important as we continue to work on this project that I will suggest that we have a directory of who at each one of those providers or vendors or whatever, a contact person that the small and medium companies can call directly or email directly if they would like to explore the possibility of some collaborations. That directory, I think, will be a must.
Can't figure out how to actually raise my hand on the Zoom right now.
Go ahead.
But do you have like a database of people that are interested in customer service at the moment?
I can provide that, definitely.
I know that's something that we've been really struggling is to get customer service reps in when we're a very small company. There's oftentimes a disconnect on what they're actually doing versus what people think they're doing. So I would certainly love to be able to connect with some of your people.
Okay, excellent. I definitely, you will be hearing from somebody from Central.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Mike, you have your hand raised? And then Jason, and then Karen.
Just quickly, is the preferred method to reach out through the Dean of the School of Engineering or the departments within the School of Engineering? And if that's the case, can we get fairly much on the heels of this, those contacts? You know, personally, we would have an interest in leaning in on the AR/VR program. We're looking at several technologies and would like to potentially leverage that area among all of the others that you discussed. So if we can quickly follow up with the primary contacts on maybe each of those technologies, that you spelled out in the presentation, that would be very helpful for me and perhaps others on the call.
What I will do, definitely, I am taking notes. I will have somebody contact you directly. And then from that person, we will branch out depending on the different interests you may have. But you'll be hearing from us, not today, because I know today will be difficult, but by the end of the week.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to do a shout out to Dr. Toro and with CCSU. For those of you that have not engaged with and partnered with Central yet, they are phenomenal. I can't think of any other engineering program that actually has a machine shop actually as part of their School of Manufacturing Engineering. So we actually have many interns coming from there, and we're also partnering with the School of Equity and Inclusion as well for more interns coming up this summer. But Dr. Toro, would some of the projects that some of your students may be working on, as well as faculty, actually assist with implementation, for example, of machine monitoring?
Definitely. That's a possibility. We have a faculty member working with a couple of students in a machine monitoring system. Okay, so will you like our Dean of Engineering reaching out to you?
Yes, please.
Okay, we will.
Karen, go ahead.
Great, thank you. And again, thank you, Dr. Tura. That was a great presentation. Central is certainly a major player in our pipeline initiative through our College of Technology. So we've had a fabulous relationship with them over the years. So it's great to see you moving to the next steps of the higher end of technology. With that being said, I don't know if people are aware of the fact that OWS just launched a Connecticut Careers Connect website. And I'm wondering if that could be potentially used to help disseminate this type of initiative in terms of, again, connecting small to medium-sized companies to, the universities, because again, we don't really know where to go to get this information, but I'm thinking that website might be the portal that could provide the dissemination of, initiatives like this. So I think I saw Colin on the list of participants, but certainly I think it'd be something we should take a look at and reach out to Kelly Valaris for OWS.
Yes, hi Karen, it's Colin. I'm here. I'm listening, and I'll certainly be talking with Kelly about that. I think this also is something that we're working on right now with the MIF website, and in terms of comprehensive list of manufacturing service providers, and also something that Jeff and his team at Concept are working on, specifically on the Industry 4.0. So that'll get all of these services and capabilities will get incorporated in those databases.
It sounds good, because again, I think that's where Connecticut, it's always been a challenge for us. So I think this is all good. Thanks.
I agree with you, Karen. The best programs in the world aren't worth much if people don't know about them. So we've got to get the word out there. Thank you.
Exactly. Thanks.
Yeah, I would agree that, as we look to make our recommendations, that's certainly a key one, is how we make sure that all of the good services that we have are easily reachable. And as part of that, President Toro, I'll mention the MOU that was recently signed between Constep and CCSU. And so we are going to work together and partner on being able to bring small manufacturers to CCSU and to utilize those tools and processes that they're putting together.
Great. Dr. Toro, thank you again so much. I'm sure your inbox will be flooded.
Okay.
Really great
Thank
commentary here.
Thank you, and my apologies, but I have to leave the meeting. Okay, take care. Good luck.
Take care. All right. I believe jumping on what Karen was mentioning, the Careers Connect website was mentioned and a link was dropped in the CMC meeting yesterday afternoon. So if anyone has that at the ready, I unfortunately do not. My copy and paste is not quick enough. So if anyone wants to drop it, I think that will, again, be a good resource. Let me pull up our slides about just our look back and look ahead. So I think in the back less than 30 minutes that we have together, again, it's proven that our provider spotlights are really informative and get the juices flowing and really energize us of all of the richness that Connecticut has across our ecosystem. So with that said, as I mentioned at the start of this meeting, we're 4 months into this work. We have another 9+ months ahead of us. So we've outlined this timeline just to give the look back. So again, we launched in late August. To start that, we had provided an overview of surveying all of the i4.0 service providers and the small to medium-sized manufacturers that we have as part of this working group. So we had collected some information, and with that, we then moved forward into creating work streams that we've broken out some of our key elements. So value stream mapping, which was led by Constep. And just before the end of the year on December 15th, we had an outbrief from them about the process mapping SIPOC that they had performed. CCAT and Constep, CT Next and CCAT had been leading discussions with the outreach and resources work streams. And so again, we've talked about converging, and even today we're keeping everyone in the fold. So we're kind of now moving forward. We'll see what we need to do as far as to break out and have different assignments. Most of what we've been doing as well, in addition to convening on a biweekly basis, has been to bring awareness and attention to others outside of this working group. So you'll see that little gray box there. We've had the opportunity to speak to AMEP, which is the Advanced Manufacturing Employer Partnership. So there was an outbrief given there. CMC, the Connecticut Manufacturing Collaborative. We've, for the last couple of months when that team has convened, given some updates to that. And actually yesterday afternoon, there was an outbrief on the VSM and the process mapping. So we had Brian from Habco and Charles from Webco, as well as Jeff, kind of brief the team there. So that's been really great. We had an opportunity and interest because going beyond just the University of Hartford as part of one of the institutions, a part of CCIC, we had an opportunity to speak to the engineering deans from all of those institutions. And so working with their leadership there, that's been very informative. And certainly as we started this discussion, who else can we bring into the fold as far as spotlighting who else is doing all of this really great work? Because much of what our charter is going forward is to have that comprehensive mapping of our services on both the federal, state, and federally funded level. There was some dialogue earlier between Nicole and Jeff about the regional sector partnerships. So I know that we have contingency from various parts of the state of Connecticut as members of within our manufacturing ecosystem are belonging to some of those. So I know that we've given some folks some one-pager, very high-level overviews as we've been doing some of this awareness. So if there's anything else that we should capture, right, because we're moving forward to providing a progress report that's due mid-March, no later, would love to be able to have all of this rich data. So if there's anything that's missing here, please let us know. But otherwise, I think going forward, we'll still continue to be able to, outreach and bring awareness and attention to what we're doing across the state. So I see that, what's ahead of us, right? I mentioned that progress report that's due March 15th will creep up on us because, of course, February is a short month. And so really what that will entail is that our core leadership team between CCAT, Constep, the legislation, being aware of this, as well as CT Next and Colin. We will work on the progress report. What Jeff and I have discussed going forward in the most near term is to really identify those barriers and gaps. So the VSM team had identified some, but we'll be digging more into that because of the fact that as we prepare then for Constep to lead the ecosystem profiling, and I could have Jeff speak a little bit more to that. That's really, we're ready to kind of dig in more so. And then as we look 9 months out, I believe the math is right, 3/4 away, October 1st, we have our strategic plan. So again, as we say every time, it's been really wonderful to have the engagements across this community within this working group. Here's what we've done, our nearest term efforts, and I'll open the floor to Jeff to have some remarks there. And then also open it up to everyone else. I see the chat going on a bit. So I'll take a pause and a breath and see what folks are thinking, feeling.
Thank you, Jackie. First of all, I'll talk a little bit about the ecosystem mapping. So we're bringing an intern on board this week. So he'll be able to spend January identifying those state and federally funded Industry 4.0 providers that we need to identify for this project. But in addition, we're working to look at the bigger ecosystem and how that may impact the needs of small and medium-sized manufacturers, and working with Colin on potentially supporting the MIF fund activities. And so hopefully we'll put together a comprehensive database in the next month or so that identifies those companies, what they do, where they work, and how they support the SMMs on their needs, and as related to the process map that we developed in the VSM team. In addition, I think the next steps for the whole team is to look at the gaps that the manufacturers can identify in that VSM map or process map, and so we can help to identify actions that need to be taken, either from the state's point of view or from others' point of view, to fill those gaps. As part of that, we will be putting together a Google poll to share with everyone in identifying those gaps, recommending places where they struggle with following those process steps. I know Brian's talked about how he did a ready, fire, aim approach in some of the activities that they did, excuse me, in following this. And that if he had kind of seen the process laid out, he may have been better able to take a more structured approach on that. So we'll try to identify some of those things. And I'm certainly open to the work group's feelings on how you think we can best identify gaps in that. And,
Mike, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, well, there's a correlation that can potentially be happening with support out of the MIF and in some of the objectives, and a relationship back to this as it relates to the SERI assessments. And if we want to discover gaps, and will the SERI assessors be aligned with the providers here, certainly those assessments, as they can be propagated further through the manufacturing ecosystem, will, inherently point to gaps that manufacturers see. And will there be a bias if it's a state-supported SERI assessment to drive to the provider organizations supporting rollout of smart industry technologies in those companies that participate? It's a little unclear whether there's going to be a connection to this very broad project and some very specific company assessments. And is that a value? If I'm all wet, tell me I'm all wet. It just seems that that could be a natural alignment bidirectionally, one in terms of on their boots on the ground, seeing gaps as they do company assessments. And the other is how we plug in resources as the assessments are going on in those organizations. Bueller?
I was waiting for Jeff because Siri really
No,
lives in concept
Yeah, no,
world.
that's fine. I was going to let Colin first talk about kind of the MIF program, and then I can talk about the connection, the broader connection between Siri and maybe some of the gaps we're identifying here.
Right. And I think, Mike, I think that's a really interesting concept. I think there are a couple of challenges there. One is I think we'll have several service providers providing these audits. Clearly, Concept is going to be one of the lead, but Stanley Black & Decker has some professionals that have been trained. They may be training more to do these audits. We hope there are other service providers who get certified to provide these audits, because we certainly don't. Concept doesn't have the capacity to handle this many that we're contemplating under the MIF program. So we'll have different service providers working with different small, mid-sized manufacturers. Siri is also, and Jeff knows this better than I do, is very it keeps the data relatively close. They'll give aggregated data for the overall population to the people taking the survey. I don't know. They may. I'm sure it would be pretty easy for them to give aggregated data for a certain sample, like the Connecticut companies that do it, which then could help us identify gaps or needs. So it's something certainly that we could talk with them about. I don't know. Again, I know when we rolled out the Siri assessments for the suppliers in the digital model initiative, the confidentiality issues with Siri were somewhat burdensome.
Yeah, and I guess so we're very Concept is very much prepared to take the data we understand locally and apply that learning on a broad perspective, right? So aggregating kind of on our own the information we get. I did want to highlight that kind of the gaps we're looking at from this committee are in the process of a company going through the Industry 4.0 transformation. And Siri is one of those steps in the transformation and will help identify the best places for a company to invest their resources. But I think we want to look at maybe a higher level set of gaps in how do you identify the resources that are available to you, the steps you need to take, the support you get in going through that process map.
Hey, that's a real chicken and egg, though. I mean, I could take either side of that and then clearly argue either side of that the outputs of Siri will point to gaps, or the gaps can be filled as a result of Siri. And really, the smaller the entity that you get involved with, perhaps the bigger the gaps are, because there's less knowns in the small and mid-sized manufacturing sector.
I agree with you completely, and that's part of why Colin wanted to drive the Siri initiative through MIF, right, was to help companies identify those unknowns they don't even know. And so we certainly see it as a bootstrap approach, right? And the data we've gotten from the Siri assessments we've already done will support how we support the ecosystem in moving forward and supporting companies. And then as we get more data, that hopefully will be beneficial to moving forward. So we do see it as a bootstrap. I think you're correct in that's somewhat chicken and egg. And so, as we get one, we'll get more of the other and continue that process.
All right.
Jeff, on that note, do we have a sense of timing for this critical first step, which is this chicken and egg syndrome you were just talking about, in terms of how many companies we would like to at least target with this Siri assessment? Because that becomes, and it is a related topic, not directly what you're discussing now, but I think it's important to capture that.
Sudhi, I could speak to that. I think for the MIF program, we're talking on the order of a couple hundred companies. Obviously, that would be over a period of time. Right now, we got to stand up the program, and we're constrained in terms of our capacity to do the assessments. I think we only have 2 certified assessors in the state, or at least last I checked, and both of those organizations are on this call right now. So, I mean, 2 individuals right now certified. So, as we get this program in place, I think the organization will be putting more resources, training more resources to do these audits, but it's going to take a while to get through. But it's roughly 200 that we're targeting, depending on how the demand breaks down between the series assessment and the cyber assessments, because there's going to be sort of one pool of funding.
That's a great start, Colin, at least to have a number as an aspiration. So if it's 200, I think it's sort of the right number. A little bit of stretch to it, but I think it's doable. So that being the case, what do you think, for example, in the next 3 months, how many companies would you like to be assessed using Siri?
I think it's unlikely that we're going to get many assessed through the MIF program, because we need to get the policies and procedures and contracts in place. So, and that just takes a while to do. I do know that, or at least I believe, and Jeff can speak to it, that Concept has, outside of that, is using the Industry 4.0 program that's administered through CCAT to help companies underwrite the cost of the assessment. I think they've got some assessments that they're lining up outside of this specific new program that we're bringing to life. Jeff, you want to touch base?
Yeah, no,
on
that's true. And so, we're certainly prepared to offer Siri. We're actually training our second person, but even then that will not hit the capacity model that Colin's talking about. But we are, as we go to market with this, we are utilizing the IoT, or asking companies to utilize the IoT fund as a stopgap until the Siri program is put into place. And so certainly we're able to do that. I think overall we're approaching 20-ish companies
So let's see.
That have shown some interest. And so, certainly that database.
Hood milk, half gallon, $2.49.
All right, well, we just hold on 1 second. We just look up on the screen, right? Okay.
Center, can you mute?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
So, we're in a position to kind of move forward on 2 a month kind of pace would be pleasant for us. And we could certainly do a little more if there's demand for it. An important part though is Siri is only supposed to be the assessment, and we want to move to implementation. So we want to make sure we need to make sure that there's capacity in the ecosystem to address implementation, as well as doing the assessment. So that's an important part of what we're trying to work on our own model.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, I'm scanning to see if anyone has any remarks. We also have our leaders from the Commerce Committee, Senator Martin or Rep. Buckby. If you have any remarks, gentlemen, you're welcome to unmute yourselves and address everyone. In the meantime, I did want to honor a more brief meeting. So you'll see where we've been and our look ahead. Colin, you're lined up in 2 weeks' time to present to this group as our featured provider of the Manufacturing Innovation Fund. So thank you for that. I see Senator Martin, you're now coming up on video. If you want to, maybe if you have any remarks, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just got a call here, but thank
Okay.
you, everybody. I'm learning just by listening to you guys, so thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else? I know that there was a lot of excitement around Dr. Toro's presentation. I think in the near term, we should just, I'll take it upon myself to send it out to everyone as a PDF. It will be up on our i4.0 working group page. I'll link that. We still have some backlog of getting presentations up there. You could also go back to the YouTube channel and rewatch if you need anything regarding the narrative. We will convene again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you again so much for your time. Happy New Year to everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.